9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, I am back with today Gregory. Gregory, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Don?
Awesome. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Today we're here to do some more React with DevExtreme, and Gregory, you're gonna build a bit more on the cloud, the virtual cloud portal, which is of a virtual company. So it does not exist, but it is just to show how easy it is to get all the visualization that you would need. So, Gregory, maybe it's a good idea because we were off for some time now. So maybe it's a good idea to give a quick recap on what you've done and what we're going to be talking about this episode.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, when we were last streaming, I came here and I built this grid here with Amanda, where when we open these different master detail panes, we get this animated view of mock CPU memory and storage usage for each of
Cool.
these theoretical nodes.
Yeah.
Um, so we just took care of this. Just a slight little demo here. Also, over the last weeks, of course, we've demonstrated how to use these charts. We've
Yeah.
created this form with this
Oh,
nice
yeah. The
pop up
payment
here.
method. Yep.
And today we're going to be working on this page right here, this support page. And also, we're going to be adding a page for this, create a new storage cluster or whatever. So
Okay. Yeah.
that's kind of the plan for today. Plus, at the end, we have something kind of unique in store, and leave that to the end. Keep it a surprise.
Please do. Yeah, I know what it is, but I will not spoil it.
Yeah,
So, yeah, let's start with some new functionality on the portal.
yeah. So right now we have here's our app component where we have all of our pages and all of our routing. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new page here. So I'm just going to jump into my pages folder, into dashboard, create a new page, and I'm going to call it dashboard, or sorry, actually, I'm going to say add cloud storage .tsx. And in case anyone forgot, we are still using TypeScript.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's good that you mention it. But yeah, and also while you're setting things up, we have already posted the URL to the GitHub repo in the chat box. So if you are ready to check this stuff out yourself, yeah, feel free to clone the repo and see what we've done so far.
Cool. So I just went ahead and just added a little bit of boilerplate here. And I'll go ahead and add this export message, and we'll go ahead and jump back into our app and we'll import this. Actually, I'm just going to do it down here. And that looks correct. And I'll add it down here as well. And this path has to be slightly different, just because in the previous stream I just named it slightly differently. I believe I named it cloud storage create new. I think that was right. So we'll go ahead and check that and make sure it works. Refresh this, and if I click this, yeah, so that page is working now. So if I jump back into this add cloud storage page, I'm going to, of course, start with some imports. So the first thing I need to do is import a form, simple item, label, and button item from DevExtreme React /form. And I'm going to also say import slider from DevExtreme React /slider. Okay.
Yep.
So
Oh, I have just been talking yesterday about the DevExtreme slider in the Blazor stream because I needed the slider, so I used the DevExtreme slider into my Blazor application.
yeah, I saw you doing that DX Hotels demo.
Yeah, I had a couple of issues, which was a bit of a shame, but that's, I mean, that happens with live streaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a lot tougher to not do something from scratch, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to create this horizontal rule that we've been adding to all these pages. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to create a H4. And it's going to have a margin in the Y direction of 4 and the margin X of 10. And I'm going to say add cloud storage. And I'm going to add a div here with a class name of margin X is 10. And for a medium screen, the width is going to be 1/2. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and create our form component. And inside here, I'm going to say a simple item if I can type. I don't know why, but every morning, it's I guess I have to loosen up because my typing skills are pretty lackluster.
Yeah, but I mean, Copilot is ready to assist you, isn't he? And so far, he was expecting you to type this.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, we'll go ahead and create this. I'll save it and I'll jump back, make sure it's working. Yeah, and so here we have our name field. And as we can see, it goes across half the screen here.
Oh yeah, nice.
And there's just a small little detail I added just so we can see how it looks, where it's not the whole thing or centered. Because up to now, I've kind of been centering everything, so I thought it would be a nice change.
Oh yeah.
And this data field is going to be location. And the type is going to be DX select box. And it's funny, Copilot is giving me some options, but none of them are correct. And the editor options, I'm going to create this separately.
Yeah, okay.
And with this, I'm going to give it a label of location. It got that. Apparently, it's it can understand simple things like that. And then another simple item, data field is slot. Yep, and this is actually correct. Yep, there we go. And down
I
here,
am
I'm going to say
curious. once you're gonna add those select box options and those slider options. I'm curious to see if Copilot will give you like the values that you actually wanted.
Well, hopefully it does.
Yeah.
I mean, there it does have the advantage of doing this for the second time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like I've already done this once, so it should be a little bit more efficient, but we'll see. So down here, I'm going to create those
Yep.
select box options, and we can leave it at this. This is actually fine. So for our select box options, we just have these two properties, items, which is just going to be everything in the select box, and the value, which is just the initial value. And this is going to be sort of like where our node is going to be hosted, that kind of thing. That's kind of what I was going for. We could also kind of make it a little bit cooler with a map component, but I thought that would be a little bit too much and a little bit too unrealistic, so I kind of just left the select box. So
I think I think this will do it. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, these slider options actually look kind of correct. So the min, I'm gonna set to 100.
Yeah.
The max, I'm gonna set to 1,000. Show range is true. Here, I'm gonna say step is gonna be 50. And under the tooltip, it's gonna be enabled is true. I'm gonna get rid of that. That wasn't correct. I'm gonna say show mode is always. And position is bottom. So this is just going to show a little bit of a sort of like a little tool tip right by our slider, which shows us the value. And I'm going to set it so it's on the bottom and it shows at all times. So it doesn't conflict with our label that we have up here. So I'll go ahead and save that. And the looks like it's not showing up for us because I forgot to do this. Let's see if this works. Yeah. So it's just a little bit funky, but looks like we have to import that slider component and kind of just specify it down there. But yeah, as we can see, we have this tooltip here. Hopefully everybody can see this. And
Yeah,
we have our
cool.
select box here. And again, we are using the Fluent design theme. So we have that kind of nice theme here where everything is kind of this nice blue color. And as I click, if you see, if I let go of the mouse, it jumps because I set the step intervals to 50.
Oh yeah, then it will just
Yeah,
step over
so
to
it
the next.
auto kind of corrects as I move along. Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the basics of this page. I just kind of wanted to show off the slider just because I think it's, sort of one of those small components that if you had to actually build it yourself would take quite a while. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, this looks extremely cool. And we also have like the other, we've got like a range slider as well, I think, right? With the where you can have like two positions, like a start and an end, which is
Yes, we do.
yeah, it's quite similar to the one that
Yeah.
you just showed. Yeah, that one is nice
So
as well. Yeah.
yeah, and this is a nice little range. Yeah, we have other ones. I mean, we have a lot of them.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
have ones with like for charting like this as well.
Yeah.
So these are pretty cool. But yeah, I mean,
Sure.
here, nice date time scale. This is pretty cool too.
Yeah, this is really awesome.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of different things in here that's why I always say it's good to go through everything in the section
Yeah.
in the demo, because just the basic demo doesn't really capture how many options there are. And yeah, and we also have these kinds of range sliders where it's, from both sides, not just a single dot, but it's, two in there. So yeah, that's another option. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on to creating this support page down here. And for the support page, we're essentially going to create kind of what we have here in our own demos. So if I go to our docs, where we have this panel here with the collapsible menu, the tree
Mhm.
view, we're kind of going to create the same kind of idea, just
Okay.
without as much content, just because I didn't have time to write out, a few thousand
Whole bunch of
words of
yeah,
content.
of course.
Yeah, but I should have probably just let ChatGPT do it, but whatever.
I was gonna mention that. What about our latest new friend, Chat GTP?
Yeah,
But
I
no,
mean,
I mean it's not really a big deal.
it's okay. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here and create a new page called Dashboard Support, and I'll open this up, and I'll let this do its thing right out the boilerplate. I'll go back to our app component and I'll import this as well. That looks correct. There we go. And there's our page. So it makes
Well,
it
quick.
pretty nice and snappy. So for this dashboard support page, again, of course, I'll import some stuff. And I need use callback and use state from React. And I'm going to need the tree view and tree view types. From DevExtreme React / tree view. And here, once again, I'm going to go ahead and add that H1 horizontal rule, and
Oh yeah, and that break for
yeah,
that horizontal thing. Yeah.
yeah. So let's make sure that's working. Yeah, so we have that same kind of theme going on. Yeah, and so down here, what I need to do is get our content going. So I'm just going to copy and paste something. So I'm going to paste this array of objects called docs. And so we can kind of take a look at how this works. So we have this first item, which is an ID of 1. We have this expanded true property, and that's just going to be for the default, when we first visit the page, is this item expanded or not? And the first one is going to be set to true. And then inside here, we have these separate items. And as we can see here, it's 1_1. And this is our default naming conventions for this tree view. So it's going to be the first one and the first tab under the first one, if that makes sense. And then
Oh yeah. Yeah.
under that, there'll be another one where it's 1_1 and 1_2. And then there's 1_2, and then it goes on from there and all the way down to number 4 here. So it's kind of a big thing of kind of a big array here, but I kind of want to just leave it in the same file just so we can see it and reference it really quick.
Yeah, that makes sense. And obviously, in a real world application, you would get that information from an API or whatever.
Yeah. And so down here under this H4, I'm just going to create a div with a class name of grid-columns-2. So it's going to create 2 columns for us. And gap1, and the gap1 is just going to be the gap between these columns. And I'm going to create another div in here with a class name of margin left-4. And this is just going to make it a little bit cleaner for us so we can see it better. And it's already giving us our tree view here.
Yep.
And the ID is going to be tree view. Items is docs. Width is 300. I'm going to get rid of that on item click for now.
Nice haircut.
And the height is going to be 500.
What?
All right. Yep.
Sorry for the interruption.
Somebody did the broadcast.
Yeah, of
I
course.
think you should have like a bit red light on top of your door.
Yeah, I know, seriously.
Yeah.
Jeff was
Yeah.
slacking. He forgot to tell everyone I was doing this, I guess.
Well, we have been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah, everyone comes in late.
Yeah. All right, but anyway, you were putting in some options for the tree view. Oh yeah, you can actually search for it as well. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so for the tree view, it's going to be, I'm just going to specify the width and height properties. I'm going to say search mode is contains. And so contains is just going to be, kind of like your standard search. Like if if the word you search for it exists inside the, the various elements, then it'll highlight it for us. That's pretty much exactly how our search works on our website as well. And on item click is going to be on item click, and that's it. And so I'm going to go ahead and create that on item click function. So first, what we need is a state variable. So I'm going to say current item and set current item. And we can get rid of this type here. We're not going to need it. However, inside here, we do need to initialize this, and we're going to spread the docs and select the first one. Because if we remember up here, we set the first one to expanded.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just why I'm going to set it to the first one here. So it's just going to be properly selected from the beginning. And it's going to be const on item click is use callback e tree view types dot item click event. And in our dependency array, it's going to be set current item. And down here, it's going to be set current item to to the spread of item data, just like this. So that looks correct. actually, I forgot it's an object. And this is just giving me this error, which we can just ignore for now. And this is actually correct, but it's just, complaining that it's not the right type, but it is the right type. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's just a suggestion, right?
Yeah, of course. That's how it is with JavaScript. You just kind of ignore the warnings if it works. And so if I go back to our page here, we can see our
Oh,
tree
there
view
it is.
here.
Yep.
Yeah. And what we want is for it to actually display some content here when we click on
Yeah.
something, of course.
Yep.
But we do have our search,
Oh, nice.
and
Yeah,
that should
that's
work.
pretty sweet. Yeah.
So everything with the word storage gets highlighted here. So yeah,
Yeah, the
and
highlight is not really visible, but yeah, it does filter, so that's a good thing.
yeah, that's yeah, slight little thing. It's I don't think it's part of it by standard. So I don't know, maybe we'd have to
Yeah,
have some kind of custom thing for that. Or maybe it's an option that I just forgot about. Who knows? And
could be.
yeah, if you want to see more about the tree view, of course, we have a demo about it as well. And this just shows some ancient looking TVs here.
Yeah, they look not like the newest ones, but they charge a lot of money for it, though. And on the side, yeah, where you're scrolling right now, you can actually change that code and see what your changes do, right? I mean, you can actually
Yeah,
enabling or disabling some options, and then you'll hit the apply button on the right top side, and then it will compile the demo with your code in it, which is quite cool. So you can see what certain options may affect on the
yeah.
UI.
So for example, just with this options right here, I can just change it to hello, hit
Yep.
apply, and it'll
There it
change
is.
it live for us. So that's all really cool, and it's great to play around with before trying it out in a real app.
Sure.
Just wasting time trying to make it work. You can just try in the demo center and make sure it's looks how you want it, that kind of thing. And also, just to note, we have this scroll ability here because I specified the height. It does scroll.
Okay, so if you wouldn't specify the height, it will just stretch down or something.
Yeah,
Or
pretty much.
yeah.
Here, I'll show you what that looks like if I don't specify the height. Oh no, sorry, never mind.
Oh,
It
then it
does.
will just do it like this.
It just gets a little bit smaller.
Yeah, but you can actually see that the div that contains the tree view is being expanded. Yeah.
Yeah. So every time we make it bigger, it kind of just grows like that. So yeah, just a slight little difference. I prefer it with the set height, just my personal style preference, because the idea was that we wouldn't have to scroll past this page on like a large screen like this. Plus,
True.
this is quite zoomed in. So like if I zoom out, I mean it's still 150% zoom right now. So, you know, um, but yeah, so if we come back here, so what we really want is to be able to see this text or whatever other options we have in here. So we could have, say, HTML in here, or lots of different things. Whatever we want really. So the way we put that in there into this page on the right side here is, remember we added that the grid with 2 columns.
Yeah.
So right
Yep.
now that's what is showing up here. So there's another column here on this side of the page. Obviously there's no content there, but that's kind of how we're going to use what we're going to do to display it. So just under this div right here, I'm going to create one more, and this is how we deal with these columns. So we have one column in this div here and another one in this one.
Oh yeah.
And for this, I'm just going to say H3, and then say current item dot text. And when we jump back, we can see the current selected item, the text of that
That,
gets displayed
that
there. So I'll collapse this
yeah.
down and we can see how it looks there. So whatever I click on, the text of that gets displayed here. And of course, we could display pages here or different components. We can do, you know, HTML. We can display images like in our demo here, where we had the video players. And in this demo, if we jump to our data.ts file here, we can see we have this image property here. If we could see that, I'll try
Oh
to
yeah,
zoom in as much as I can.
you can put in like any properties basically in the data structure, and just they will appear in that current item,
Yeah,
right?
because each of those current items is simply an object. So whatever is in here will be in that current item variable. So like, for example, I could say dot ID,
Yeah,
and this will just show the ID. So it all
yeah,
pretty much works the same way.
that's something that works brilliantly in JavaScript. Obviously, I mean, it's, yeah, you can extend that structure as you wish.
Yeah, so I'll just clean up that little extra line there. And yeah, so if we jump back, we can see how it sort of just changes on each click, and that makes it nice and quick and easy. Of course, like I said, I didn't really put any content in there, but theoretically we can have like a nice content pane in here, kind of like we have, you know, with our documentation, where if you click something, you know, the content changes. And in our case here, this is actually Markdown. And you know, you can go ahead and actually see the Markdown. Like if you click one of these little edit things, you can jump to our GitHub, which is telling me I need to sign
Yeah,
in, of course. But yeah, so it's pretty cool.
yeah, absolutely.
And so
Nice.
this kind of, you know, more or less, I wouldn't say completes this site because it's far from complete, but it kind of takes care of sort of what I wanted to show off with this site, you know, a number of components. I didn't bother with this web hosting page here. I might add it in the future, but just for now, I didn't put it just because it's going to be very similar to these other ones. And I just
Yeah,
thought you know, don't want to waste everyone's time watching me do it 3 times. So I just left it for now. Um, but previously, what we talked about was converting a web app like this to a desktop app. And in the past, I used Electron to,
yeah,
you know, create a desktop app. And Electron, of course, uses Chrome, or Chromium, I should say, and it just displays, you know, our site just like it would in any other browser because, you know, it's the same rendering engine. And at least on Windows, the rendering engine that comes with Windows, also Chromium based, is WebView 2, right?
yeah,
And so with WebView 2, we can use it for, like you mentioned before we started, with Blazor Hybrid, or, you know, pretty much anything that has to do with web, you know, HTML, CSS, all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a WPF app here. And I don't think, I mean, this is pretty small even on my screen, so I apologize for that. But I'm going to go ahead and create a WPF app, and I'm going to use the DevExpress WPF template gallery just because I can, even though I'm not going to be using any DevExpress controls for now. I just, you know, thought, you know, why not? So I'm just going to call this, yeah, this is fine. I'll call it DX Cloud. So it's the same name. And I'll put this on my desktop. And I will go ahead and create this project. And I'm going to create a blank application here in our, templating
You
engine.
might want to put it on .NET tab on the top.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was just looking at that. I was like, why isn't .NET 8?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Because
Yeah.
our project gallery is able to create .NET framework projects as well as .NET Core, .NET projects as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And and we have these different options, of course, but I'm just going to leave it blank for now because we're not really going to do much with it. And I'll, let it create this. And I think this is the first time on the stream I'm actually using Visual Studio.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before on your screen.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Kind of exciting. And I'll open this, the main window. We'll wait for the designer to pop up here. And in the meantime, what I need to do is add the WebView 2 NuGet package. So I'm going to say manage NuGet packages. And change this to all. Say browse. And I'm going to search WebView. And give this a second to search. And this Microsoft.web.webview2 NuGet package is what we want. So we'll go ahead and install this. And we'll give that a second. And we can close that. Oops. And there we go. So I'm just going to jump into the toolbox here and wait for it to initialize. That's one thing about using, the terminal all the time is everything is nice and quick. Here we just have to wait for our toolbox to initialize.
Well, that toolbox, that is always a pain. I mean, whenever you do a new version, when you even install like a maintenance update from DevExpress or whatever, it needs to update that toolbox once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's a bit of
okay.
a thing, but we'll get over that probably.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'll increase the height and width of this so it looks a little bit better. And I guess I could just add it manually. So it's going to be WPF. Oop. I got excited. Decided to add this stuff on its own.
Oh, yeah.
That's new. How do you make it stop doing that?
I don't think you can, or you have to go down into the editor settings or whatever.
Okay, there we go.
But
View 2 name equals web view, and the source is going to be just that source of our site. So it will be 172. So that's going to be that. I'll go ahead and add that reference in there. And as we can see, our WebView 2 is in there, as it should be. So if we start this, it should be correct. So we'll just give this a second. If we let that build, there we go. So
Hey,
yeah, we do have our
smart.
app here finally. And of course, this is basically, Edge. So we can, open up an inspector and see all the code and stuff. We obviously don't have a title bar, but,
Nope.
if we remember, I did make this, mock password, which is
Oh
just
yeah,
pass.
yeah, yep,
And interestingly, actually, so Edge adds this, the little eye icon here, so we can
yeah,
hide it or show the password. Um, we offer a similar functionality as well with DevExtreme, but this actually has it built in, which I didn't know about actually. So I thought, that's kind of cool.
yeah,
So yeah, so if I hit that login, we can see we jump to our dashboard here, and this is exactly
yeah.
what we
Everything
built
works
today.
as expected. Yeah, and you were just tackling those web developer tools. I guess you can turn that off if you want to in the web view control. I guess.
I probably, and yeah, so I mean we could see like the console here and everything, and just the
Yeah.
Chrome debugger and stuff. Um, yeah,
For
and
development, that's quite easy, but I mean, on a production scenario, you don't probably want to have those web developer tools enabled, so you can probably turn that off.
yeah, I'm sure there's probably a way. Yeah, and we,
Cool.
if we hit like this back, we do go back, and
Yeah.
it is just essentially just a website in here. So we're just inside this, like desktop window kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and you can probably apply the same technique on Maui and WinForms as well. Well, I know you can, but
Yeah,
same
I'm
approach.
positive about WinForms. I don't know about Maui. That's more
Yeah,
of a
Maui obviously works with the web view as well, but there are some other components which are based on the web view. So, for instance, if you go to NuGet and you'll search for Microsoft ASP.NET Core components.webview.wpf or Windows Forms or .maui, it's typically it works the same. Yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, I mean that more or less wraps it up for today. Um, Before we go, I just wanted to mention that I'm pretty much done with this app.
Yeah.
Um, I may come back to it, if anyone wants to see something in particular that, will fit in here. But I think this is a pretty good place to leave off. And so next week, what I was planning on doing is sort of using this web view component actually and integrating it with DevExtreme as well as some of our desktop components and desktop
Yeah.
controls and see, just kind of like a fun little sort of interim project just so we can, get our feet wet with something kind of entertaining and cool and that sort of thing before we move on to something else. So I just thought that would be a fun little thing for next week. So yeah,
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be watching anyway because I've been doing a conference session on Blazor Hybrid with WinForms, which is actually quite cool. I mean, if you wanna exchange data between the two technologies, it's quite easy to set that up. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward on how you're gonna do that with a JavaScript platform. So yeah, sounds like a plan. And yeah, obviously, as I mentioned before, we have the repo of this project available in the chat box. You'll be probably updating this after we sign off for today.
it should already be pretty much all set.
Okay, cool. It's already in there. Ah, that's excellent. All right. Well, that was a nice demo again, and yeah, it looks so simple to achieve these kind of things with DevExtreme. I don't see any questions at this moment. So yeah, I think yeah, next week we're back with Eric and Amanda, and you'll be back with some fun stuff together with me on Wednesday. Yeah, I would like to say thank you and see you next week.